we've talked on the YouTube channel about The Witcher and the future of this franchise. And it's something that really intrigues me because I, of course, want to see the continuation of The Witcher, especially, guys, I think it would be smart for CD Projekt Red and all parties involved to continue this franchise because of the popularity from The Witcher on Netflix. And so I want to talk about The Witcher 4. Where is this game? Let's talk about everything that we know so far. Let's get into it. So, CD Projekt Red might not have announced The Witcher 4, but it's not an impossibility. In fact, it seems like a likely title down the road. This is an article, guys, written by Cody Gravel from Screen Rant. Developer CD Projekt Red created one of the games of the decade in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, a title that many believe to be one of the greatest RPGs ever created and has since helped make the franchise popular enough for a live-action Netflix series, prompting many to wonder when The Witcher 4 would be coming, if it is being made at all. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt released in mid-2015 and was then supported with 2 paid expansions in Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine that provided dozens of hours of extra content, but the latter add-on put a neat little bow on Geralt's journey and made it seem pretty difficult to continue his story further down the road. If there will be The Witcher 4, then CD Projekt Red will likely need to make some pretty drastic design changes that begin with the protagonist and trickle down from there. With that said, it isn't like the developer has been reluctant to revisit the franchise since The Witcher 3. The company released a standalone Gwent title based on the popular card game from The Witcher 3 that has since managed to earn itself a niche position within the genre. And Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales blended strategy and Gwent together to tell a story set within the same narrative concept as Geralt's journey in the games. So, here's the thing, guys. Obviously, CD Projekt Red working on, Cyberpunk 2077 game that's coming out later this year. But I think that The Witcher, even if they were thinking to themselves, if they're similar, like in the last segment of the show, we talked about Sucker Punch and how they're working on Ghost of Tsushima when they had previously worked on Infamous. CD Projekt Red might be thinking to themselves, hey, we want to move on from The Witcher and move into this, kind of this, just have a new twist on everything, that being obviously Cyberpunk 2077. They kind of want to move on maybe. Maybe they don't want to come back to The Witcher. They did 3 games, they kind of finalized the trilogy, and they want to kind of move forward now with Cyberpunk. I think a lot of with The Witcher 4, a lot of how we can expect or not expect a sequel to it really rides on the success of Cyberpunk 2077. With the Netflix's The Witcher adaptation drawing even more eyeballs to the universe it's set in, it's a good time for CD Projekt Red to begin thinking about what the IP's future looks like in video game form. Now, obviously, guys, The Witcher 4 isn't happening right this moment because CD Projekt Red still has time to decide what The Witcher 4 would look like. However, as the developer is still shoring up the last few details of Cyberpunk 2077, the game it will be releasing in 2020, CD Projekt Red's focus is on Cyberpunk, but that didn't stop the company from shedding some light on how it views itself moving forward. During a meeting earlier this year, the studio revealed that it considers itself a 2 IP developer. Cyberpunk has been tagged as a lucrative prospect that will get future iterations, and The Witcher has already proven itself as a hot commodity. Given that designation, it only makes sense that CD Projekt Red will eventually create The Witcher 4, as it can't keep making spin-offs centered around Gwent forever. So this is true. I would say, guys, that one thing that's very interesting to me is that we're going to get multiple Cyberpunk games, and so they're going to kind of go back and forth. What would be interesting is if CD Projekt Red becomes similar to like a Rockstar Games, where they work on like a few different IPs at any given time. Like, so right now, Rockstar's probably working on GTA 6, and then obviously maybe a Max Payne 4, and then an LA Noire 2, a Red Dead Redemption 4, Bully 2, so on and so forth. CD Projekt Red has The Witcher, and now Cyberpunk. And will they go back and forth between those two and maybe make a new IP after that? It'll be really interesting to say the least. But I think, guys, what we can definitely say at this very point is that The Witcher 4 is definitely within CD Projekt Red's minds and something that they're definitely thinking about revisiting at some point in the future. But where are they going to go with the story? I feel like there's a lot of different directions that they might be able to take with The Witcher, even though, Geralt's story might have been told and finalized. I think that they've made 3, Witcher games based kind of around Geralt. Maybe they can move in a new direction in the 4th one. That would be something very interesting, similar to what they did with Gears of War, or what the Coalition did with Gears. Kind of had the first 3 games that came out from Epic Games, and then, of course, Gears 4 was kind of based around the main character's son, and that's who you take the reins of the son, and then from there they kind of of course went from there. But something similar to that would be kind of interesting. Assuming that The Witcher 4 wouldn't enter development until Cyberpunk 2077 releases in 2020, it seems highly likely the game would be a next-gen title for the Xbox Series X and PS5 alongside a suspected PC release, given the prolific stature of the franchise there. The turnaround from when Cyberpunk 2077 entered development to when it will be released is murky. It was started at some point towards the end of The Witcher 3's development and had a small team working on it before things ramped up. But the rough historical precedent would suggest something like 5 years. That's obviously dependent on how much CD Projekt Red has grown since then, how developing for new technology goes, and many other factors. But those hoping for The Witcher 4 soon should temper expectations significantly, given the amount of polish CD Projekt Red tends to put on each of its flagship games. It'll be a long ways off yet. So I agree with this. I would say, guys, you got Cyberpunk 2077 coming late 2020, and then after that, they're going to be probably, adding things to Cyberpunk 2077, whether that be DLC or if they're going to, add multiplayer like they've said that they're going to do. So I think Cyberpunk 2077, that's going to be a 2 to 3 year process. And then within that 2 to 3 years, they're probably going to start working on concepts for The Witcher 4, and I would say that we're probably not going to see the game for another maybe 3 years after that. So we're talking, probably quite some time until we would see a future title in the Witcher series. Now, the biggest question fans have about The Witcher 4 is what will happen in its story. Geralt's story wrapped up pretty nicely in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt's Blood and Wine expansion, so it would seem CD Projekt Red needs to find a new protagonist to carry on the story. Luckily, there's one tailor-made to inherit Geralt's adventures while adding new dynamic combat to the series as well. Ciri is actually playable in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt occasionally already, where her ability to teleport between locations makes her incredibly fun. The Witcher 4 story could easily follow her exploits, as in one of the endings of The Witcher 3, she inherits Geralt's mantle as a Witcher. Someone needs to succeed Geralt in his monster-slaying duties, and there would be few more qualified than Ciri. So I would love this. I think that this would be an interesting take on it. However, I'm a little bit hesitant with The Witcher 4 going in that direction. I feel like they need to have say The Witcher 4 would be, in my opinion, like Geralt's last go-around, and then he passes the torch over to Ciri or someone else. I think people would be more accepting of that. I mean, this is a good idea, but I think that Geralt needs to be in one more title before they move onwards from him, and then from that point onward, he would be like a side character, or he would just go to retire. But I would love to hear from you guys about this. Who do you guys think should take the reins from Geralt if that's the direction CD Projekt Red decides to go? Do you think Ciri? Do you think someone else? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And for more The Witcher 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.